We are here for a hearing in the Council's Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation on docket number 0175, order for a hearing regarding equitable access to public transportation with a cashless fare collection system.
We want to thank the MBTA, and of course we want to thank riders and advocates for being a part of this very important conversation, a timely one while we are considering major changes to our public transit system.
We have the Director of Fare Policy and Analytics, Laurel Paget-Seekins, and the Chief Technology Officer, David Block-Schachter. I also want to welcome and thank the General Manager, Luis Ramirez, for joining us, who's back there for now, but if it gets too tough or if we have other questions, we will certainly ask you to join the panel as well.
Just thank you for having us at this public forum. We're really excited about this opportunity to kick off this stage of our public outreach for this project in Boston, especially given its importance in the MBTA system.
So again, I'm so glad to be here. My name is Laurel Paget-Seekins, and I am the Director of Fare Policy and Analytics for the MBTA. And I sort of joined the team to really sort of lead the policy conversations with both our internal and external stakeholders around some key decisions that we need to make in order to get the benefits of the project that David just mentioned.
Good afternoon. My name is Allentza Michelle, and I'm the coordinator of the Fairmont Indigo Network. It is a umbrella organization of 32 organizations and coalitions that serve the Fairmont Line neighborhoods. These are Mattapan, Hyde Park, Roxbury, and Dorchester. I was also heavily involved in the Youth Pass campaign years ago, and would like to echo a lot of the sentiments of my colleagues here, and would like to focus on 6 points in particular. I'm also joined here with Mela Miles, who is the chair of the Fairmont Indigo Transit Coalition, which specifically focuses on the Fairmont Transit Line. AFC 2.0 absolutely requires to involve a robust and effective community engagement strategy if it's to be successful. We must deploy both quantitative and qualitative data measures to inform the process that reaches and targets the Boston area's most marginalized groups, which include youth, seniors, persons with disabilities, persons where English is not their first language, and those who are at or below the federal poverty line. We also encourage the addition of creative and equitable methods to be employed, and the appropriate amount of resources distributed to ensure that that process really targets and really engages the right audience that it needs. Secondly, while most of the data has been focused on major bus lines, which is driving a lot of the development of AFC 2.0, we also ask that there be some examination on the impact and the reduction of connecting bus services that have particularly impacted commuter times in the inner city. For example, we all know that there has been a major focus on the 39 bus route because ridership is down nearly 30% on that bus route. However, there's very little focus on the 14 bus, for example, which is a connecting bus route, and one of the only buses that serves the Heat Street projects in Jamaica Plain. This means that those riders who are heavily reliant on public transit are even more being at a disservice, and we'd like to make sure that as this new process rolls out, that issues such as connecting buses are also addressed. Thirdly, access to purchase Charlie card readers has been a chronic problem in particularly neighborhoods of color, and in particularly the Fairmont neighborhoods, where the majority of places where one can purchase a Charlie card are check cashing centers, which have been proven to be detrimental to the overall economic development and wealth opportunities for low-income residents. Therefore, we're very interested in learning about what are the various sites in which the places of purchasing the new AFC 2.0 cards and or other alternative systems will be available. We also encourage the MBTA to think about partnerships with small business owners such as bodegas and other businesses that have access to internet and electronic transit dispensaries, because that could be an interesting option. Fourthly, while we know that the unbanked population here in the Boston area is relatively low, according to a Federal Reserve Bank study in 2013, only 4.9% of low-income and minority people of color were found to have no access to a bank account or a debit card. This also means that that population is heavily reliant on preloadable debit cards, which is a concern because those incur high costs, fees, and other transaction fees, just for activation, for example. So, if the Charlie card readers are going to be synchronized with debit cards, for example, and the unbanked have very little option and are forced to rely on preloadable debit cards, which have a high income, a high fee rate impact, then we're very concerned about the impact that that would have on that population in particular. Lastly, the integration of low-income fare systems like a low-income fare structure and youth passes remain a question. The Fairmount Indigo Network looks forward to working with the MBTA and the city partners to ensure that AFC 2.0 is also integrated with external lines, namely the Fairmount Indigo line, which we have long advocated for access to Charlie card readers. The line itself, which is currently the only commuter rail line that starts and ends within the city limits, and also the only commuter rail line that was born out of local activism, is a huge concern for our current residents because we're very concerned about the fact that this transit line is not only still in development, but how will it be well integrated with AFC 2.0 as needed. We still have an ongoing issue with the current bus routes that connect with the Fairmount line, having a lack of schedule synchronicity. Further, this system can be even greater impactful if it's synchronized with regional fare systems along the other regional transit authorities. For example, connecting with the BAT buses and with buses that extend to northern Massachusetts and western Massachusetts. That way, former Boston residents who have been displaced due to gentrification and other types of displacement will have an opportunity to have more feasible and affordable commuter transit into the city where they still work. It is imperative that we take into account all the structural pressures that impact quality of life and impact transit, such as housing, wealth inequality, environmental justice, and other lack of economic opportunity in neighborhoods that have historically been underserved and underinvested in. We recognize that these are complicated issues, but with equity and fairness, it's never said to be an easy task. So we thank you very much for your consideration and time, and I'll submit a copy of this testimony.
Thank you, everyone. Councilor President.
Thank all the writers and the advocates here today and the MBTA. I think it was a robust conversation. Appreciate folks, again, being so prescriptive in their recommendations, and look forward to working with the chair and the MBTA.